So, Chris, welcome to the Disenfranchised. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. It's really good to have you here. And like with everybody else, I want to start the conversation by asking you your first job.
Okay, so my first job was, I believe, at the age of 8. I was self-employed, and I used to go to boot fairs. So yeah, that was fun.
When you was
Uh,
8, wow, that that's
yeah,
a young age to start work.
I was trying to think of the very first job, and that's the one that I can remember mainly. I've done lots of jobs, but that was my first one, and it was great. It taught me a lot of things. You get up early, you go to a boot fair, and I guess the hustle side of it was I used to buy things with my pocket money for £3.50, and then I would resell it, double my money, do it again, and then over the space of maybe half a day or a good morning, like I could take home a good £100. As an 8-year-old 30 years ago, that was quite good.
That's unbelievable, mate. And was that your idea, or was that your parents' idea to
Yeah.
to buy and sell at the boot fairs?
So yeah, it was my parents' idea. They used to do it a lot. Yeah, so I was just I went along. I was put in the car at the same time, and I just watched them and saw what they were doing, and I was like, you know what, that looks really fun. And when you're young and you want things that are expensive, you're not really going to get them, right? So
No.
it was a good way of saying if you want something, you got to work for it and get it. So my parents would say, look, yeah, here's £3.50. Do what you want with it. Classic mistake. Probably the first one I did. I just went and bought a burger, and then I sat there all day bored.
I think that's what I did on the one boot fair I've done is just went and brought some burgers, and I was in negative money by the end of the
Yeah,
day.
but you learn, right? So I sat there all day, and they said, look, it's a really important lesson. You've got no money now. You wasted it. So yeah, install some really good values. That the next week I didn't spend that. I think I bought like an Action Man or something like that, and sold it to another kid for £2 extra. Yeah, I loved it, and I still do. If I could do it still now, my weekends are obviously taken up with what we do, but I love a good boot fair. I love going to them as well. I love trying to find a bargain. So yeah, it's fun.
Perfect. So that kind of entrepreneurial spirit from an early age, has that kind of transgressed into your career as an adult? Well, I
I
guess it
guess
has,
that.
because your
Yeah,
business today, but before your business today, which we'll go into in a moment.
yeah, I guess so. Absolutely, because I think when you see your parents, they've always been self-employed. Um, Fortunately, my father passed, but always seeing your parents working super hard to put food on the table, being self-employed, I didn't really see anything other than that when I went to a friend's house and their dad got home at 6 and then he ran in and had his dinner, and I'm like, that's all you get with your dad or your mum? And they're like, yeah. And that just didn't sit well with me. I was just like, yeah, well, that's weird. Where obviously my mum and dad worked really hard, but we used to go to the shop or the shops, and be with them. So it was a really good, indirectly, yeah, it was almost like a franchise model, I guess, right? So you can work and be with your kids whenever you want. So yeah, it was a good grounding.
So what did your parents do for work?
So they owned a chain of like baby shops. So they did like prams and cots and things like that. So you had, I think, the best time that they had. I think they had 4 or 5 different shops all over. But then the recession hit, really hard recession, and yeah, they struggled. So we went being quite comfortable to being in. I remember being quite young and being in a flat with my siblings, and it was fun. But it was awful. When you go from these guys worked really hard for everything, and then they lost it all. So seeing the resilience that they had to come through it,
Yeah.
again, is another great life lesson for a kid to see. Hopefully my children won't see me struggle as hard as that. But yeah, it helped me
Yeah.
definitely.
And I guess you're instilling these kind of values into your children now, are you? or are they a bit too young at the moment?
Oh no, then you're never too young to install these value. Yeah, 100%. Like even to, it's great. My daughter can make me a cup of tea now. Love that. You know, it's like if they're at an age where they can do things and, you know, help around the house or, you know, earn their pocket money, then absolutely, yeah. Like you're never too young to learn.
Yeah, I agree. I've
Well,
I've got my kids doing the dishwasher for me and things like that. It makes sense, doesn't it? Right? It teaches them some lessons, so that's pretty cool. So, in terms of your career, then how have you got from those early days, very early days, as you know, working the boot fairs to where you are today? What other jobs or businesses have you had?
wow. Okay. So look, I won't tell you everything because I've done quite a lot. I've been ice cream vans man. I've had hot dog stands. I've hustled a lot. But I guess when I had a proper business, if that's what you call it, I was a graphic designer, and I had a graphic design and marketing company, and that resulted in after university, I went into London, and you know, some real talent out there that gets taken advantage of.
Yeah,
And when I went into London, that's exactly what happened. You know, these guys were like, "Do you know who we are?" and all that. And you know, you walk out of uni going, "Well, thanks, firstly, for a job, and then secondly, yeah, you've got some amazing brands, but when you're really just starting out, you don't earn any money. And to work in London, you need to earn, right? So
yeah,
it wasn't, again, that wasn't sitting well with me. So I was like, you know what, you need to be paying me a lot more money just to do this job, or you know, I'm leaving really. And that's kind of within, I was saying that within the first 3 to 6 months, right? I knew already that this, it didn't fit really well with me. So I left London. Um, they replaced me very quickly because that's what London does, right?
yeah,
And that's it. You should never get too big headed and think that you're not replaceable, because everyone is. And again, that, you know, I was happy to be replaced because it was the best decision I did. So I went and worked for a printing company. I learned so much from working in a smaller company. The printing process, the advertising, the delivering, looking after the customer, rather than just being in a big agency where I was a creative mind.
yeah.
So there, from that, I said to the printing company, I think it was about 19 by this time, or 20, that I want to do more. I want to be a creative director within 3 years. And they were like, you've got to be here for at least 10, etc. So yeah, again, I was like, I've got to go because this isn't working with who I am as a person. And every time I kind of left these places, it was always left on good terms, right? Everyone just knew that I had a different route that I was looking for, and I couldn't find it yet. So I went and worked behind bars, and I started up with 2 clients designing logos and websites. And that was my career for probably the next 15 years. I built, you know, a really solid business. And then from there, I invested a little bit into some property, sold a couple of properties. And then I had my firstborn, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to do anything now. I'm just going to enjoy my children, my firstborn. And I just kind of semi-retired. That sounds insane, but I did. And it was
And
like,
how
you
old
know,
were you at that point?
33,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So it was right that it was because I sold my properties, really, because I was right at the height of it was a good time to sell, basically. And then it wasn't like I was going to retire for the rest of my life. It was like I can take some good time out, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I did. And then after maybe a year or so, you know, you can't keep someone like, I guess, myself just sat there doing nothing, right? So I was always looking for the next opportunity. And that, I guess that's what led me on to the photo booth, is because we went to a wedding, really good friend of mine, and just me and my best friend were sitting there having a drink, maybe more than just a drink. So yeah, and I saw a photo booth for the very first time, I guess. I'd seen them about, but I'd never really engaged with one before. And I got up and had a go. But the customer experience was shocking. But the booth itself was really fun. So I was like, this. I went and asked the attendant. I said, when she bothered to look at me or got off her phone, like it was terrible. And then I asked them the price points, etc., which were great, really. When you're sitting there for 3 or 4 hours and charging nearly £1,000. So that got my entrepreneurial hustle excited, and I was like, "That's just some good money to be earned by this, right?" And she's like, "Yeah. Oh, the owners are in Spain," and I was like, "Well, of course they are. If they've got something like this going, or they've clearly done well, but they haven't by employing you, right?"
Yeah.
So I was kind of a little bit like, "This is really fun." So I just went down, sat down next to my friend, and said, "Look, mate, I'm thinking of buying one of them." And he said, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? We're getting older now. Why don't we go to weddings and parties and get paid for it?" And you could see him sitting there go, "Okay, how's this going to work?" I said, "Right, if you come on board with me and just support it with me and help me and see how well we could do, really." And he was very successful in his own right. He didn't need to do it. He didn't really want to do it, and I think it was just a drink. And then we woke up in the morning. I'd already researched like so much, and then we had a proper meeting, and he said, "Look, yeah, why not?" So fast forward.
And I was just going to stop you there for a moment. So this is one of those photo booths where you put on the cowboy hat, the feather boa, right? And people just go in there and have a laugh and keep on coming back time and time again with another costume, don't they?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It is just, 2 or 3 minutes of absolute fun. You lose your inhibitions. You have so much fun with your friends, family, and create some cool memories, right?
You get I've still got little key rings and things like that the kids love, and keep in their rooms and stuff. So yeah, it's good.
You keep it for years. Like my daughter, I've got a picture of my daughter in one of our photo booths that's been on there for 3 or 4 years. So it is something people keep as a memory. And from a marketing side or an advertising side, that's really powerful. That's got real value to it, from growing a business perspective. Because how many other businesses do you go and see, and they give you a business card or whatever, or a flyer? You don't stick that up on the fridge for 4 years, do you? Like there's not really. I can't really think of one now that I walk in my house and see a business. Like it's just not something that happens. Maybe if you did like a venture photo shoot and then you've got some really cool pictures of the family, right? But generally, no.
It's creating memories, and there's an emotion attached to them as well. I think some of the pictures that we've had are of people that maybe have now passed, and to remember in that fun light is really a cool thing. It puts a smile on people's faces when they remember or find it in that little memory box or something. So it is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. and that comes back to doing something you love, doing something that I really really love to do. And from a sales perspective, we're selling memories, and that's a fun thing to sell, right? Because every phone call I get to make or my team make, we're not like the guy selling a phone or the windows or a gas or electric, right? That's a hard job, right?
Yeah.
Where every conversation we have, we've got a really happy person at the end of the phone, and they want to tell you about their wedding, and they want to tell you about their event, and they want to tell you about the product they're launching in the NEC, and how they really want us to help, or their virtual event. We'll get onto that later, but yeah, it's such a great business to be involved with that people really really like, and we love doing.
You know what? It reminds me of it makes me kind of compare it to your first job when you was 8, or the first time you was earning money. That toy that you brought, you were giving joy to someone else, right? And you saw their smiling faces. So, and for you're getting to see that toy for a little while, maybe play with it, I guess, and then before you pass it on. So it's similar kind of thing, isn't it? You're enjoying it, right?
I guess so. If I'm brutally honest, I just enjoyed making money when I was 8. And I didn't really care if he was happy. I just doubled my money, right? It was amazing for an 8-year-old.
Yeah. Maybe I
But
was
yeah,
looking too much into it then.
if I wanted to be really romantic about it, I could say absolutely. I loved seeing their faces walking away with a new Action Man toy. But no, I just loved the fact that I doubled my money.
Perfect. I, I actually wanted to next ask you though about working in bars and then doing kind of graphic design, a couple of projects here and there. That those early days, that must have been kind of really tough because you're not seeing the money then at that point, are you? Really, you're just kind of picking up the odd bit here and there, and I'm guessing maybe getting a couple of £100 or something like that, and you must have thought, where is this going? Is this even going to be a success? I mean, what thoughts were running through your mind at that point?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because it just comes down to that belief again, okay, in yourself and in what you really want to do and what you're prepared to do to get it. So I really wanted to be a graphic designer. I really wanted to do logos and brochures and websites. That was the dream, right?
Yeah.
So working in a bar, if that enabled me to get to that place, that was what I was going to do. And yeah, the money was terrible, and the hours were hard. But it's like anything: you do the hours, you save the money, and you hustle, and you start talking to people, and you network, and it just builds up. You can grow it organically really well, especially if you're good at what you do, which I was quite good. I'm a very good designer. So yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. I still do it. I still do my graphic design. I still do my websites and my brochures and stuff. And that's now become a hobby, which is an incredible thing when you look at it. The thing that I set out to become actually became, I achieved it, but it actually then became my hobby, where something I never set out to do has become, hopefully, my legacy.
Yeah, that's cool. But you say it like it's quite an easy thing for people to do. Just decide what you want to do and then just go out there and do what you need to do it. And if you look at not most people, but a lot of people in their day-to-day lives, in their employment, they're not doing jobs that they're happy with. This is the reason why the hate Mondays thing goes around. Don't hate Mondays, because so many people just dread going into work the next day. So why do you think there's that barrier in people's minds that stops them to know what they want to do and then just do it? Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do. But if you truly want it, you'll do it. It's that simple. I've done awful jobs that I've woken up and I just did not want to go there. I physically felt sick. But you do it because you've got your end goal, right? You do the job, but if you want something else, no one else is going to help you. So you've got to get in at 5 or 6 when you get home. And instead of moaning about your horrible job, you have your dinner and you hustle till 1 a.m. And then you work to make that plan happen. If you just come home and moan and wish you had a better job, then that's all on you, in my opinion. Because I think if you speak to anyone that's really successful, it's not easy. They've worked super hard for it, really hard. I always say to people that you can be connected and you can be, put in front of some really good people, but if you're not good at what you do, that connection is worthless. So you can be referred to lots of people, but if you actually aren't very good at it, you're not going to succeed. So I would also say that if you really want to do something, make sure that you go into this and you are fully committed at being the best at what you do, because that's the only way you're really going to do well, in my opinion. If you just leave your job and go to a job or try and set up a business on the side as a side hustle, and then you just try and live a great life, unfortunately that won't happen. It's very rare that will happen, which is why the franchising model, I gravitated towards a franchise model, because of how successful my business was becoming, but I didn't want to employ loads of people. I just thought we're really, really busy. How do I grow this? Or, you know what, do I just do this and this is fine? Because we've got an amazing brand, good reputation, work's coming in on referrals. But I guess that's not me, right? So I saw more. I still see lots of more and potential. And the idea of mentoring someone or helping someone else create their own dream, that makes me feel good. So yeah,
it feels like you like being surrounded by motivated people, right? And for you, you're early in your journey as a franchisor. I know, but I guess, yeah, you had that decision, right? You can either employ people who might be passionate about the business, they might not, they might fall out of love with it, might not see things the same way you do. But by operating that franchise model, I guess you've got people that are fully motivated around you. But so as you grow, as you build out this franchise, how important is it for you to have the right people on board, the right franchisees buying into your brand?
It's everything, absolutely everything, and it's my main focus right now. You know, we've launched our franchise officially 5 months ago, and we've got our first franchisee, and she's incredible, and I'm very proud of her. You know, buying a franchise in lockdown and you know, taking on bookings now and for the future, and just her whole approach is why we awarded her the franchise. And that's what I think prospects really need to understand, is that you get awarded a franchise, right? You don't, in my opinion, like we've had a lot of people that want to buy my franchise, and that sounds incredible, but it's not, because they're not the right people for this franchise, right?
Yeah.
And I could take money off of people, but I just won't do it. It's not ethically right. It doesn't work for us. So we will absolutely, and I will absolutely make sure anyone that joins our family is right for it, because that's what we are. And you are going to be with us for a very long time, and we want you to thrive and succeed like we have. So no, it is so important for me, especially just starting as a franchisor as well. You know, it's got to, these are like the strongest pillars of our business are our first 5 to 10 franchisees, right? So they have to be right.
Yeah. It's interesting you use the word family there, you know. You hear that word bounded around quite a lot in employment and in just in the world in general. This is our family, but when you said that, it was really like you meant it. This is going to be a long-term relationship. You're not in it just for the franchise fee up front, right?
No, not at all. No, it is 100%. It is a family. I've got a sisterhood and a brotherhood. That's, you know, because family does get banded around a lot. And I play sport. I'm a very team player, and we call it the brotherhood in our hockey squad and things like that. And it's something that I've played hockey since I was 8 as well, right? So when you are surrounded by people that are just have one common goal, that really be there for you, they train with you, they want to win, they want to, that is something that you can't buy. That is just a feeling. So when I look for a franchisee, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that gut feeling that, you know, they're part of the family, right? And if they need us, we're there no matter what. It's not even a question. So, you know, if Laura needs me now, like, it's not a problem. I'd leave this podcast. Sorry, mate.
No, that's fair enough.
Like, it's family first, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's great. It's great to hear. Although if my kids come running in, I am going to kick them out.
Yeah, that's different. If my kid ran in, I'd go mental. but no, it is really important, that family feel.
Yeah, cool. And you said there, Laura's joined you during lockdown, during COVID, right? And people that are listening to this are going to think, well, how are you operating a photo booth during lockdown when you can't meet people face to face, you can't have big parties? So
Yeah.
how has that impacted your business, and how or why has that made sense to Laura?
It's Lauren, as in Lauren
Oh,
Hill.
Lauren, I'm so sorry. I'm so
That's all
sorry.
right. No, it's like the singer Lauren Hill, great singer.
Got you.
But yeah, she's the way it's impacted our business is it's actually made it better. That's the short answer, right? Because we had to do, I'm going to say it, but we had to pivot. And it was gonna have to come in during the interview, but it's true, right? You have to pivot. You have to make sure that you are you're gonna survive, and that's what we did. So for us, bringing on a virtual element as a photo booth was the way forward for us. So yeah, that's and going online as well, and our booking systems. We've put so many things in place over the last year. It's so good. And because of the demand for our services, especially now, with the hospitality and the wedding sector, everyone just wants to get out. They want to have a party. So now we've got the roadmaps in place, etc. People are over postponing and booking us 2 or 3 years ahead, which is amazing from a business perspective, because you've got a pipeline of business 2 years, 3 years in advance. Okay, so that's great. And also our virtual events are becoming really popular for our corporate clients now. We haven't done any really, we've done a few birthdays virtually, but a lot of our business now is just corporates. They need to find something fun, something engaging. I think
I was at the BFA event that you held with the photo booth, and it's quite cool going on there and just taking the kind of boomerangs and creating photo frames around yourself and making it look like you got silly glasses on and stuff. It's pretty cool. But the thing that was really nice about it was that it all came together, and BFA could then use it for their branding, the British Franchise Association, by the way. But yeah, it was really cool to see. It was something that, me personally, I'd never seen before digitally, and I like the way it brings everybody together despite all being online through Zoom and somewhere different.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we wanted to do, right? It was so easy for us to go, you know what, we can just make a filter, but everyone can do that anyway. So we had to come to the market with something that was completely different, something that's scalable, something that can go all over the world. And us being able to, we're doing things in Dubai and France and Germany all in one go. And I think our biggest event, we had 10,000 people over a week, 35 countries involved. It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. So that's something that we're growing as well, right? Because of the world of hybrid is coming. So that's stuff that we're developing. But in answer to your question about, how do you, when you're locked down in an event industry, and how do you make money and survive? It's absolutely networking. It's like talking to people that you wouldn't normally be able to talk to, right? We're normally so busy. There was no way I would be able to do a podcast with you or something like that, right? And I love that. And it's freed up a lot of time to be creative and talk to other people that you wouldn't normally be able to speak to. And that's all that we're doing. It's just networking, hustling, talking to people, showing people what we do, creating that interest. And then hopefully when people want to hire a magic mirror or a photo booth, we're right up there, because we haven't just turned the lights off and then a year later we're going to turn them back on, right? I refuse to do that.
Yeah. What I like is that you've seen a problem and a challenge, right? That people can't engage like they used to in parties, weddings, that kind of thing. But you've found something that's entertaining, that connects people. And you like you say, you could have just switched the lights off, but instead you've adapted. I'm using adapted rather than pivot. You've adapted to the challenge and found a solution. And I think people are chomping at the bit to do something different, right? I mean, I'm doing online escape rooms now when I never would have done before, but it's watching Netflix night after night. It gets a bit monotonous, doesn't it? So people are looking for different things to do, different experiences, and you just found a way to get your business into that gap, so to speak. But I'm pretty certain after the lockdowns have all ended, there's going to be a flood of people that are wanting to make it the best party ever or the best wedding ever because they've had to postpone it for 2 years and they've saved a bit more money. So I can see there's going to be a real boom time for you. But you mentioned it earlier, hybrid events. What are they and what do they look like?
Okay, so a hybrid event is a combination of an in-person event with an online virtual event. All right, and if you marry them two together, so one of the easiest way to explain it is we've got a client who is going to do a marathon, and they want something different, and they know that hybrid is, going to be a thing. So I had a discussion with them. So we came up with this idea that not everyone is going to want to come to the marathon because of whatever reason. Maybe they can't get there, or maybe they're just a little bit unsure because of COVID, etc. Right? But they're used to virtual. Everyone is. So by bringing a virtual element with a live element, how do you do that? So that's kind of what people come to us for now. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a fully brandable experience online for people to take selfies while they're doing the run at home, or video boomerangs. And then they can upload these to a live stream. So their live stream can then be played across the internet or at the event itself. So it's a bit like Saturday Night Takeaway when you've got Ant and Dec and then the audience in the background. So you'd almost have all these virtual people taking part in the marathon virtually.
Yeah.
And creating that engagement and giving them the choice to be at the marathon and still raise money, right? So the virtual photo booth will be linked to a Just Giving page. So once they take their photo, they can then donate as well. So commercially it works, it's fun, it's engaging, and it's virtual. The hybrid element comes in where at the event, we're going to have a magic mirror. So they can take photos on the day with all the before they go for a run. So in front of this 6-foot mirror, they can have a physical photo, engage with the mirror on the day. And then we might move it to the end of the marathon as well. And then they can have a picture with their medal. So you're bringing a hybrid event. So we've got a physical magic mirror there.
Yeah.
And on the day, the guys there can have a printed photo of they finished the race, and it's all branded up. And they can go, and you know what? They're going to go and they're going to put that on their fridge. And that's going to be on their fridge for the next minimum year, because they'd probably do the marathon the next year, right? Yeah. So it ticks so many boxes from a marketing or advertising or a customer experience perspective, because our client will be able to offer an incredible experience to the people taking part. Our client will be able to raise money, and our client will also be able to have an advert on someone's fridge for the next 12 months. So it just ticks so many, and it's all fun. So that's the bottom thing. It's all fun.
Yeah, I mean, just from thinking kind of with a bit of a commercial head on and the kind of corporate companies, I mean, you can have people sponsoring the events, and the sponsor is, whichever brand, and you can take a picture with the caricature from the brand or the product of the brand or the superstar that's representing them, if it's Nike or something like that. And then from what I understand, you can share via social media via your magic mirror as well, can't you? So
so we can do so much with it. We can even do AI, where we could have, let's say you had a celebrity, we can have them virtually come into on the mirror, on the screen, and you can have a picture with them. They're not even there, but they can walk in. So at Christmas, we do it with Santa. Santa walks in, you can have a picture with Santa virtually. But there's so much stuff that we can do that we, we're just looking for the opportunities now for companies to be a bit more creative, reach out to us, and then let us know. We can just let them know what we do, really, because hybrid is going to be huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds like there's lots of potential anyway, because not everybody's going to be comfortable as soon as the roadmaps, we've gone to the end of the roadmap. Not everybody's going to be out and about still. I still think there's going to be a lot of caution, and you never know what's going to happen. So these types of events are going to have to happen if they want to capture a big enough audience. But it sounds like you have a lot of fun in your work. So what's the best thing about it? What do you love the most about the work that your business does?
um well, first and foremost, it doesn't feel like a job, right? We
Yeah,
get to go to a party. That's my job. So I get to go to a different party or a wedding or occasion or a launch, and that makes my job amazing. Every day is different. So I'm not going in doing my 9 to 5 and I know my job and that's it, right?
yeah,
I'm waking up every day going, okay, so we've got a huge brand I'm talking to tomorrow, and then the next day I'm talking to an amazing bride who's so funny, who just wants to tell me about her day, and then the next day I'm doing a 40th birthday or a surprise 90th party. It's every day's different, and I love that. And then when you get to actually go to the event and engage with all different people, it's it's like, why would you not like that? It's just fun, right? It's just a fun job. But you have to be
yeah.
a certain kind of person to do it as well. So
That sounds good. It sounds good. But are there any funny stories that have cropped up either in that or in your previous work? Any funny or
so
weird stories?
I work in the event industry, so there's lots of weird and wonderful things that I get to see. And what goes in the booth stays in the booth, as we say. So I can't say too much, but okay, so that's a good question. I'm just trying to think of one that I can say on camera, really, because there's so many funny ones. There was an event actually where I got to meet, which I didn't know was going to happen. I knew that it was kind of a big thing. We were told the address, and that was it. We had to be there super early, so nothing really out of the ordinary until we turned up. Right, this place was incredible. And then I guess the first person I saw was Jamie Redknapp walk around the corner and just go, "Oh, lads," and we were like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then as this party was filling up, people were coming up. We had Paris Hilton, Jamie Redknapp, Jack Whitehall, David Cameron was there, Jon Snow, like all these weird and wonderful people that you wouldn't really normally put together were at this house, well, mansion. Um, and they were just loving what we were doing, and they were just, people just get a bit, I don't know, they're a bit shocked when they see a famous person, which I don't know why. I just think, well, they're just a normal person, and
Yeah.
that's the route that they've chose, right? So when you do talk to celebrities or famous people, they are just normal people. So and when you've got Sting just having a chat, and it's an incredible feeling, and you're not. I think they feel more comfortable with us, that we don't go, oh, okay, you're Sting or you're Paris Hilton. I think if you're able to just talk to them on the same level, which they are, in my opinion, anyway. They've
Yeah.
just they've just got a different route.
I
In
agree,
life.
and I know that comes from my mum, because I've got a story to share on famous people, and it starts with her. She worked a part-time job at the local zoo, and this local zoo, it's fairly well known. It's Port Lim, but you tend to get quite a lot of celebrities come in there, and Vic Reeves, he lived around the corner, so he was a regular there, and he was a good friend with the owner of the zoo or wildlife park or whatever you want to call it. So my mum was working in the kitchens, and she was on the till basically. And she's told me a few different stories, but she had Michaela Strachan come up, if you remember her,
Yeah.
to her one day and say, "What's in this soup?" And it was tomato soup, and my mum went, "Tomatoes? Is it vegetarian?" She went,
Wow.
"Yes, it's tomatoes." So she just laughed at that one. But the story that really got me and made me realize this is why I just see them at the same level is Damon Hill was in the restaurant one day, and he decided just to barge past everybody and go to the front of the queue. And my mum just looked at him and went, "What are you doing?" And he
Yeah,
said, "Oh, I'm just
love
trying to
that.
buy this." "No, you don't. You get to the back of the queue." And she just sent him back in. And
Love that.
I thought it
I
was
bet he
hilarious.
respected. I bet he respected her so much for that. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, definitely. I mean, she had some more stories as well, but I won't
yeah.
go into those. But in terms of the events industry, then just to go back to that, what do you think hybrid is the way forward, or how do you see the industry evolving, and how do you plan to maybe grow your business within that world?
So with a hybrid, yeah, absolutely. It's gonna. I'm a big fan of trying to say that word as much as I can right now because I want to help people. Right, I really do, and I think that it's an important message to get out there. But there's a difference between saying the word hybrid and then not being out and not following it up, right? So it's going to
Yeah,
be like this fashionable word that people kind of say, but no one really knows what it is. So yeah, the hybrid and actually finding out how that can help clients getting out of lockdown is going to be great. And I just think we're just going to get really busy with it, really, because there will be a dip on when we're allowed out because people will just flock outside and they want to be and hug and have an event and stuff. But then you will get those cautious people that you were mentioned earlier, and they won't want to go out and they still want that virtual option. And brands are looking at that and thinking that's a lost opportunity if we don't focus on them as well, rather than,
yeah.
oh, everyone's going to come to our event now because they're allowed, right? And it's also going to help people get to virtual reality quicker as well, I believe. So
Yeah, that's a good point. So, in growing your business, then like we said earlier, you've gone down the franchising route. So, I wanted to ask you because it sounds like you're very particular as to who you bring on board, and it makes sense. It's a good way to keep your brand operating as efficiently as possible and with the right level of integrity. But um, when you're looking at franchise partners or franchisees, what are you looking for in them? What's the key thing that you want to see from them?
yeah, so it's a good question. It's quite easy to answer as well. It's that I'm looking for a people person, someone that's engaging, someone that will be, that's fun because they're front facing and people buy into people. And what we do, it's all about that. It's creating those memories with someone that's really fun, right? So
Yeah,
that's the first thing I look for. I will always Zoom call my prospects. So if anyone listens to this or sees this and thinks, I really want to get in contact with these guys, be prepared to meet me, right? Because I'm going to want to chat and I'm going to do it on Zoom. And if you're not prepared to have that conversation with myself, then it's probably not worth you contacting us, right? You have to be a people person. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that hustle that I keep saying, right? Since I was 8 and starting my own businesses up and things like that you need as an entrepreneur or as someone that's starting their own business. If someone's got that hunger, you don't even need qualifications to do what we do at all. You just need to be a people person and someone that's really happy to work hard because you will absolutely reap the rewards from it. And that's kind of it, really. The franchise model works so well because we've done all the hard work in some respects. So I don't need someone to, show me that they can do a marketing plan. I don't need that. I don't need someone that shows me, how they can do their finances. We can help them with that. It's not a problem. I need someone that's going to get up, get out there, and be fun, and create an absolute whirlwind of fun and enjoyment for the people that they're around. They're the people that I want to be talking to. All the other stuff we help with that and we support that, and that is the beauty of the franchise model.
yeah, it's great, and it's something I really like about the franchising industry is the franchisors that I meet and speak to, they've all got passion and drive for what they want to do, for their businesses. Sorry, and there's always a good reason behind it. So, they of course look for people with similar traits to them, and it makes sense. And so what you end up with is this big group of people that are all driven and proactive and energized to share and do good things for each other. So I'm leading on to now to another question I wanted to ask you, and that was, what kind of inspirational things have you seen within franchising or within your career?
So within franchising, because I've come to it quite, I'm still in my early stages of that, right? So I get inspired by other people around me that I'm now engaging with, right? So I guess the easiest way to answer that is becoming a member of the British Franchise Association. The people involved with that have inspired me to become the best franchisor I can be. So that's one. The other thing is joining things like the mastermind group or the franchise mastermind group have so many people in them that inspire me. Okay, so I love that. So I couldn't pick one out. There's lots of people that you look at in life and go, oh, they inspire me. But for what I'm doing, I get inspired by people that following the same road or map as me, and that really helps. So being able to engage with those people on these different platforms, I'm really enjoying that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that was excellent. So we've mentioned the British Franchise Association a couple of times. So do they, when you're working with them, do they set out guidelines, regulations? How do they support you in your business to make sure that you're a good franchisor?
So yeah, great question, really. What happens is you apply the way. I'll just tell you how I did it, and it's probably the best way to do it.
Sure.
Right? So you look at what I did is I looked out at how to franchise, and a lot of people go underneath that banner, and you've got to be really careful because there are so many people out there that are going to take advantage of the naivety of someone that doesn't know about franchising. And I got stung. I did. I met some people that I shouldn't have. But you learn from it. You don't let it bother you. You do at the time it bothers you, right? But I learned from it, and it just drove me to not let one single person ruin my dream or my legacy. So it made me more determined. If I was completely honest, I lost some money, but it is what it is. So I reached out to the BFA, and when I met Pip virtually and on the phone, she was so supportive, and she was so like, you know what, we're going to put the BFA arm around you. We love what you're doing. We're going to help you through this, but there are things that you've got to do, right? And I was like, yeah, bring it on. It's not a problem. And they do. They go through your business. They make sure that what you're saying is correct. They make sure that what you're doing is ethical, and that you can sell a product or a franchise that is scalable. So that's what they did. And yeah, it took 5 months or so or whatever in lockdown, which was amazing because what else was I doing other than building my virtual photo booth? But that was great. And I can't thank the BFA enough because they continue to support me and what we're doing. And I would thoroughly recommend people, if they're looking at franchising, that should be their first point of call, in my opinion. Okay, just because these guys have been around a long time, they know what they're talking about, and they're very well connected. So everything from our franchise agreement that was redone, it had to be. It wasn't right. It just wasn't right. So that I guess our franchisees know as well that because we have our accreditation with the BFA, that provides them with a reinsurance that we've gone through all the right checks, and it's not cheap. If you buy a franchise like our franchise, it's not super expensive, but it's not cheap. So if you're going to be spending £18,000 plus, you want to know that you're spending that in the right place, and the franchise model has been overlooked, and that's what the BFA does. So yeah.
Excellent. So would that be your main piece of advice you'd give to anybody who's thinking about joining a franchise, whether it's yours or any others? It's to look at the BFA first, or do you have any other advice?
So for me, if you're looking to leave your job and go into franchising, my first bit of advice would be find what you love to do, right? And then see if there's a franchise that fits that model. Okay. Don't just buy a franchise because it's a proven model and someone's done really well. There's a reason why they've done well. It's because they love it, right? And
Yeah.
they're good at it. Not you just buy it. And there are franchises out there that you can buy, and you'll earn a good living, right? But you're doing that anyway at a vanilla job that you might just be doing anyway, right? So my first bit of advice would be find something you absolutely love. And if you think, I really want to be a painter, right? Or something like that. And you don't want to go through the hassle of doing the logo, doing the website, do the marketing, doing all the stuff, the scary stuff at the beginning and the time and all that kind of thing. Then you find a franchise model, because then you can bring something that you love to do and then run with it pretty much on day one. So that would be my first bit of advice. Find something you love to do. Yeah. Did that help?
Yeah, no, I think it's spot on, and it's becoming a recurring theme. The more people I speak to, the more it's going back to your core values. What do you like doing? And I think part of it is, what are you good at as well, right? Because look, I love playing guitar, but it doesn't mean I'm any good at it. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I'm going to earn money from it, so I think you have to kind of look at that as well. And somebody said to me, speak to your friends, your colleagues, ask them, what are you good at as well, and where do they see you enjoying things. So those couple of elements together, I think, are like you say, the most important thing to think about before you even leave your job or hand in your notice.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, look, people don't just wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I really want to own a magic mirror. They're not going to do that, right? The people that we're looking for are people that wake up and go, I really want to be in a fun environment. I want to be a people person. I want to grow a company. I want to have my own team. I want to party. I want some fun in my life. I want to do different things every day. They're the people that we want to look for. So, it's not, I don't think anyone wakes up and says, I want to own a Photobooths company, right? But it's one of those things that it's not that. It's the Photobooths Magic Mirror is an amazing thing that can enable you to have an incredible lifestyle, and a great income as well. And if that's something that your audience thinks ticks their boxes, then absolutely, I wouldn't mind hearing from them.
Well, Chris, I think that's a good place for us to finish for today. So thank you so much for sharing your stories with us and talking about your business. If people wanted to find you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
So if they want to go to the Best Magic Mirrors franchise.co.uk, or they can email us on info@thebestmagicmirrors. No, I've messed it up.
Don't worry. I'll tell you what we do.
Right,
We just put the links in the text.
yeah, mate, do that.
No worries, Chris.
I'm doing so well.
Don't worry about it. So, Chris, thank you very much for your time, and take care.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Ed.